Welcome back to the Sales Revolution. I'm Ingrid Maynard, founder and managing director of The Sales Doctor, and I'm joined today by an international guest all the way from Vancouver, Canada, Ian Selbie. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Ian because he is amazing. Ian Selbie has been delivering high-performance sales services internationally for over 25 years. He has delivered his proven sales methodology to over 17,000 sales professionals around the globe. His clients range from well-known multinationals to smaller, more regional companies. Ian's clients have witnessed a number of sustainable benefits from his services, which include increased forecasting accuracy, increased customer loyalty, less sales turnover, more effective hiring, and of course, increased revenues and margins. Prior to launching his own business, Ian helped sales and leadership roles with Apple from 1984 to 1994. In 1990, Apple recognised Ian as their top salesperson in the world for his success in enterprise accounts in Western Canada. So I'm going to ask him a little bit about that. And Ian has also authored several books, including, which is my favourite one, If You Were Arrested for Selling, Would There Be Enough Evidence to Convict You? He also produces a weekly podcast entitled Confessions of a Sales Pro, which I was lucky enough to be guest on a couple of weeks ago. Welcome, Ian.
Thank you, Ingrid. It's a pleasure to be here. Congratulations on your podcast and your new book, The Sales Revolution. A fellow podcaster and a fellow author. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Now, we've got a lot to investigate here because you've got so much to bring. I mean, there aren't many people who can say that they worked with Steve Jobs. Not only did you work with him, but you were the most successful salesman, as we've sort of said before, at the time when computers were just emerging into the workplace and when Macs weren't seen as equal to IBM. So we'd love to hear about what made you so successful then and how working at Apple shaped you as a salesperson and as an entrepreneur.
That's a wonderful question, and thank you. It's one of my favorite ones. I get asked it, as you could probably imagine, a little bit. I still remember meeting Steve for the first time. It was in a sales conference in Hawaii, and an Apple sales conference was 4 days of wearing T-shirts and shorts and flip-flops, but they told us to bring a suit because there's going to be something called the awards night. Right? And I was a rookie. I was 25. Steve at the time was 28. So I wasn't winning anything on my first sales conference. But so we're all dressed up at the pool party before the awards ceremony. And I see Steve Jobs strolling in with his sandals, suspenders, and jeans on, looking like the coolest dude on the planet. So I just had to go over and introduce myself. And my local teammates, they're all older than me in the Vancouver branch. No, don't be a groupie. I said, are you kidding? He's the reason I joined Apple. I love his philosophy. He wants to change the world. I got to go say hi. And they're, whatever, okay, go ahead. So I went over and introduced myself, and we talked about skiing because he likes to ski, and as do I. I have had a place up at Whistler so we talked about skiing for 10 minutes. Somebody snapped a photo. And folks, this is long before the iPhone days and cameras. It was like the old school. But I got it blown up, put in my cubicle, and when I'd give clients a tour of the office, and this is my cubicle, this is where I work, and by the way, if you ever have a problem, I can help you out. I'm pretty tight with the boss, right? So I had fun with the Steve Jobs photo, later put it in my books, but it was such an amazing time. Apple had culture that was cult-like in a good way. They invested so much in their people. It wasn't like driven by spreadsheets and numbers. It was driven by passion and people. And that's still in me today. And every company I go into to help, that shapes a lot of what I think and feel and try and help them do. The year I won the big award was, and you know what? When you win an award like that, when you're the top rep in the world, you're just not the top rep. It's a great team that helped make that happen. I had a wonderful mentor, another Ian actually, another fellow Scotsman, a fellow by the name of Ian Adam. He was my sales manager, my sales director. And I had a fabulous systems engineer, an SE, named Sean Pruden, who's still with Apple in Cupertino, actually, right? So I remember we were in Hawaii. It was always Hawaii. I don't know why. But my big mug shot comes up on the screen and come on down again. By then, Steve Jobs had left the company. He came back, obviously, but so the big bear hug I gave wasn't to Steve, but it was to John Scully. But my systems engineer, and she was a slight woman, Sean, she was in row one, and she jumped out to give me a hug, and my momentum, I gave her a hug. My momentum carried her up on the stage, and she's like, "No, what are you doing?" I said, "Sean, we won this together. So you stand right here with me right now." No. Yes. So teamwork is how we won that award. I definitely share the recognition with my mentor at Apple, Ian, and Sean, my systems engineer. Some of the things that helped make me successful at Apple were when I talk about Apple, Ingrid, it's funny, I still say we. Back in the day, we used to think I've been out of there for nearly 30 years, and I'm still we. You can take Apple out of the boy, or the boy out of Apple, but something like that, right? So we decided, to go after the corporate market. So we were good at education, good in the consumer market, good at desktop publishing, but we decided to go after enterprise. And so rather than, take the long route, we took the shortcut, which was to go ahead and hire a bunch of IBM salespeople. Turned out it was pretty easy. You just pay them more money, right? And they brought along a lot of methodology with them. IBM back in the day used to put their salespeople into 6 months of training before they'd let them see a customer. So, and they had, and it's thorough. No one can afford to do that these days, right? But the margins on mainframes were pretty good. I can assure you of that. But so they had this 25-page account review tool that I thought was very thorough. But, I was sitting there going, well, I've got 20 accounts and I'm looking for my next 20 or 30. I don't have time to do 25 pages of an account review with anybody, let alone myself. So I turned it into 2 pages, and it's still part of my methodology today. And the big account that I won that helped me win that award, helped us win that award, I used that account review tool to turn a $75,000 account a year into $3 to $3.5 million a year for a 6-year run, right? And who was our competition? IBM. So it was quite sweet. It was quite sweet.
Yeah, I'll bet that would have been very sweet. And you talk about the power of methodology there and the power of using some structure to enable you to investigate the possibility of how you can grow an account. Before we go into the next question, I just want to pull that apart a little bit more, because I think that methodology and process are some of the things that it's easy to forget when we're looking at how to improve sales. We often look. I know a lot of the business owners that I speak with, and even a lot of the sales leaders I speak with. They're driving activity, which is great, but they don't necessarily have any rigor behind that activity. So can you, without going into the details of what was in that 2-page, account review, can you just explain how you use that and how that helped you to plan and then execute more effectively, so you weren't leaving opportunity on the table?
Absolutely, and be totally happy to. And I agree with you. We need activity. We need the quantity side of the sales ledger that we all live in, right? But we also need, the quality side, right? Which is once you're in an account, I call it hunting on the farm. Let's get it all. Let's leave no desks unturned. Let's make sure we can get everything we can get. Because how hard is it to get a new account? It can be, and once you've got it, they're your best prospects, right? So the 2-page account review, that's still part of my methodology. In fact, 1 page is just, as you already mentioned, for planning. It's for you and your account team to get ready to go see them and do another review with them. So what's their current business pain? What current projects are going on? Who's the current real competitor that we have to watch out for? How's our last project going? Right? So you can get ready, prepare yourself. The other side, page 2, we even use it. Some of my clients put their logo on it, which is great. Put it up on the big screen, and they use it to conduct the account review with the people on the customer side of the desk. Right? So there's 3 parts to it. Happy to share it. The first part is a business review. The second part is current initiatives. And the third part is future projects and plans.
Yes.
Right? So the first part, it starts with thank you for your business and loyalty. We greatly appreciate it. Are there any outstanding issues or tasks, something that we haven't completed our promise to you on? And if there's something, an action item that comes out, we document it. Who owns that on my team? When do you need it by? All right, that's an action item. Sometimes the action item's on their part. Oh yeah, I guess we didn't order that. We got to send you an order. Okay, so customer, you got to send me another PO, and we'll get that into you, and we'll do the rest of the things that we do, right? So that's the review. Then there's current initiatives. So current active projects that are going on. Maybe there's some trials, some working demos, some proof of concepts that are underway. So you want to manage that process, right? You want to dig your well, folks, before you're thirsty. You want to keep control. Otherwise, it'll control you. So let's control it. That's what the account review, and the customer loves it. Why? Because you're holding yourself accountable to them, right? You're not no customer wants to have their account managed. They don't want that. They want to be a customer, but they want you to follow up on the details, all the rhythm and rhyme that goes around with that to make sure they're ongoing satisfied, right? And then the third phase is future initiatives or future projects or plans. So what do they got coming down the pipe? What's new for them? The best way to reply to an RFP is to write it. And so that part of the account review gives you the pen. It's also an opportune time to introduce them to some new products or services that you might have that would hit the nail on the head for them, right? So it creates loyalty, relationship, and ongoing business.
Yep, I absolutely love that. And thank you so much for unpacking that. I think that sometimes account managers in particular are nervous, about asking, about current issues or anything that's unresolved, or what I call, having the value delivered conversation and, unpacking even, what we've done so far and the difference that it's made. In case there isn't a difference, they're worried, that if there's anything there. And I say, well, if it's there, it doesn't just because they're not talking about it doesn't mean that it's not there.
And at least, right? Yeah.
Right. And you get the opportunity to put it on the table and explore it together.
Absolutely. And like I've had some salespeople say, well, they must be happy. They're not calling to complain. Right. And I'm like, well, and you're happy enough with that answer? Like, no. There's a reason there's buttons on a phone. It's for us to call them. Are you getting what we promised we'd give you? If not, how do I fix that for you? Right? And then they get used to that currency that you've got, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'll take a call from Ingrid any day of the week. She's all about helping us, right?
I mean, I just love what you just said there. There's a reason that there's buttons on a phone, is so that we can press them and ring.
Not
but you're
right.
going,
this is the order desk. Can I help you? That's not what a phone's for.
Spot on. So, all right. So my next question is, because that book that you wrote is just gold in terms of its title, and I have quoted you since then and credited you because I just think that's just the best title of a book. So I'm going to ask you now, Ian, if you were arrested for selling, would there be enough evidence to convict you, and what evidence would you look for to convict someone for selling?
No, and part of the answers are in this book. And if any of your listeners want an e-copy of the book, I'm happy to send it to them for free, right? Like absolutely free. We'll put it in the notes underneath. No problem. I'm all about, like, it's not about scarcity. It's about abundance. It's about helping. I love the sales profession. I know you do as well, Ingrid. I just want to help people reach their potential. And we share that passion. I know we do. I think there's five things, right? Five? There's my hand. Five things that make for someone that would get arrested for selling. And so the first few here are, I call them COP F. It's a little acronym I invented, I don't know, 25 years ago. The first word, the C is confidence, but not arrogance. Managed confidence, not what happens when you're overconfident? That's no longer an attractive trait. You've got to do it because people want to work with people that are confident and competent in what they're doing. But someone that's arrogant, whoa, I gotta go, right? So that's no good. So that's the C. The O is organized. So that's someone that has a proven process and hopefully a system to keep them on track. Keep themselves accountable because their good sales leaders are going to keep them accountable as well. So the first level of sales management is a salesperson managing themselves. So having a process or a system to help them track all that keeps them organized. And then one of my favorite words is the P word. It's persistence. Absolute persistence. Just, okay, you could lose the game, win the series. You could lose a customer and win two more. You could lose this quarter, win next quarter. So it's having that fire in the belly, and it turns out, I think you and I have talked about this before, it's hard to teach that. It's hard to teach fire in the belly, right? It's either there, you can motivate it, you can recognize it, you can shine lights on it, but it's got to be there to start with before it really lights up, right? So persistence is critical for anyone that's going to get arrested for selling. And then the F is follow up and follow through. To me, that is so huge because if a customer trusts you with something to follow up with, and it's not that big, but you don't, what does that say to the customer? I can't trust them with the little stuff. I'll never be able to trust them with the big stuff, right? So I like to underpromise, overdeliver. That's an old age term, but boy, does that prove your value to a client, right? So those are three things. The fourth thing is focusing on creating value. I actually believe we can create value. It's not just a product or a service. It's if I know a customer's business pain, right? What's keeping them awake at night? What are their big issues? What are they trying to get done? What are they most concerned about? I can add value to that well beyond my products or services. I could introduce them to someone else. I could give them information. There's lots of ways to generate value, right? So the people that get arrested for selling know how to create value. There's a formula for it. We might unpack that later as well. One of the formulas for it, though, is I call it outer ring. So I've got in part of my training, there's three circles, a little circle in the middle. Everyone in the class picks a real live breathing customer. What's their business pain? And it shouldn't smell like your product. It should be business pain. It should be market share, profitability, growth, share price. It shouldn't have, our products aren't up. No, it's got nothing to do with product. Get out of the basement, get into the boardroom, right? So,
Right.
So the second ring is how do I sell something that would help some of the pain? Because we're not going to fix it all. The outer ring is what I call it. The third ring is what other ways can I add value to that business pain because I understand what it is. So the first circle says, the small circle says, I know your pain. The second circle says, I can help you with some of it. The third circle says, I care about you and your business and I want to help you. So we score goals, to use a hockey analogy, because I am from Canada. You score goals from the second circle, but you get assists from the outer circle. And those are still points. Those are loyalty points.
Yeah, they are loyalty points. And it speaks to a different quality of salesperson, doesn't it? Because when we're, I talk about, order takers and glorified customer service agents, which I think we've, unfortunately, in this country, we've just got a lot of. And
they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah, okay. Right. And so, to make that transition from being, a rep or a salesperson and being seen as somebody who wants to sell me something, and then transcending that into becoming, more of that, and I'm sorry to overuse this term, trusted advisor. You need to really care about the whole business and really understand how you fit in with that, but beyond you too, so that it's not just about you, it's about you being the like you said, the creator of that value, but also the connector sometimes to somebody else that might be able to solve another problem that isn't in your wheelhouse, and not being worried that you're providing solutions outside of your product or service.
For sure, there's no doubt about that, and to have an environment where that is accepted and in fact wanted, desired. It comes back to something else I'm sure we'll talk about, leadership, right? Leadership have to be bought into this whole ideal, this method of value creation, not just one rogue rep that's doing it different and the rest are trying to empty a warehouse on somebody.
Empty a warehouse on somebody. I love that. So many things that you're saying that I'm thinking, gosh, I'm going to pull these out as quotes for this podcast because they're brilliant. You talked, just before we go into the next question, you talked before about the first layer of leadership is the salesperson's ability to manage themselves.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's very important. Tell us a little bit about what makes a great sales leader.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. So one thing for certain, they've got to be committed to the team's growth and success. Right. So, and not every sales leaders are not created equally. We've all seen that. We experience it daily, I'm sure. Some of them prefer to sit behind their desk with a spreadsheet and micromanage every little piece. They're like, update your Salesforce.com, and you haven't done that in a week. And that's they think that's their job, right? And it's like, oh my gosh. So that's a bad environment right away. So that's what a good sales leader isn't. A good sales leader wants to be a mentor and coach, and they don't say go sell, they say let's go sell. So they're part of the team. I call them four-legged sales calls. And that's not me on my hands and knees begging for an order, yet I have done that. That means two people, me and my boss, we're going to go see a customer and evolve the relationship. Sometimes, revolve the relationship, to use your quote. And that helps you climb the ladder as well. You bring a boss, you bring a VP, you can climb higher up the customer's ladder and create better. Because where's value really recognized? At the top. There's that formula for value that we might get onto doesn't get recognized down at the low level, at the influencer level. For them, value equals cost. They're all about the best price wins. And that's neutralizing anyone that's got unique or like special value. That's not where you sell. You have to be bold and brave and get upstairs to make that happen, right? And so a good sales leader wants to help their people do that. A good sales leader also, Ingrid, and I know you know this, they're going to hold their people accountable on their activity. Because there's a few things that happen, okay? I always say there's a chain in sales, right? That one of the first things is, what's the business strategy? Are we trying to grow market share? Are we trying to up margins? Are we trying to get rid of low profit clients? What's our overall business strategy? What's our comp plan that better support that strategy? Then we need a sales plan, which tells each salesperson and sales leader what the activity levels are needed to ensure that we achieve all of that. And if you've got the right activity, you build pipeline. And if you're building pipeline, you get results. So a sales leader needs to hold their team accountable on the activity, the pipeline, and the results.
Yeah. Sorry, there's just so much that you're saying that I love. So that accountability, another guest that I've had on my program is a woman by the name of Trudy McDonald, and she talks about, she's an HR specialist, but she talks about leaders, not just sales leaders, but leaders in general, have lost their accountability muscle. What are some of the things that when it comes to sales leadership, what are some of the structures that enable, so away from the spreadsheet, I'm having a sales meeting with my team, or maybe even individually, how can I hold my sales individual or team member to account in a way that's helpful, directive, and supportive?
I'll give you a little story just to bring it alive a little bit. And you and I are both storytellers. I know that. So I've been coaching a guy named Sean Loney for 3 years. His dad's my best friend. He's taking over his dad's business. And so once a month, I sit down with Sean and conduct a monthly sales review, right? Somewhere, wherever we meet. And I can tell when Sean's had a good month. He's a big guy, 6'5", like huge. And I can tell when he walks into the place where we're meeting, his chest's out and he's like, ask me anything you want, Ian. I'm ready. And I can tell when he's a bit shy, a bit sheepish. He's like, okay, how was your month? You know, I could just, everything about it, I could tell. So that goes back to some of the self-leadership. If we own it ourselves as salespeople, we're halfway there, folks. And we don't need a sales manager whipping us because we're shy, right? Like, so that sense. So I look at a few things, right? When I do a sales review, again with Sean, and most of the time he's there, right? He's drinking the Kool-Aid. He's starting to distribute it himself, right? He's got a sales team behind him now, and we're doing the same stuff, which is awesome. But the first thing is, I've always got in the sales plan, what's your activity goal for the month? And so someone that's got a blended territory, and I would call that, they've got some accounts. They better be doing some account reviews. They better be getting some referrals. They better be finding their own outreach as well. So they all count as points, right? So, your goal, Sean, was 30 points for the month. You're at 26. Okay, that's great. Guess what, Sean? Next month, you owe me 4 more. You were shy. And I'm not trying to be like a not nice person. I was going to say another word, but I won't. I want him to be successful because I know if his activity's consistent, his pipeline will be beautiful and he'll blow his quota away, right? And that's what I want him to do consistently. So it's too late in month 6 to go, your activity's been light. Your pipeline's kind of getting a little, it's going to be tough for you to get it done. I don't let anyone go past 30 days before we make up the activity. So that's number 1 on activity or on accountability is the activity levels. Because you can't invent a customer. There's a sales process. In fact, there's a buying process. So that can take time. So if you've got a 3 or a 6 month selling process, you can't afford to go asleep at the wheel on your activity. It'll be too late.
That's right. Yeah, spot on. Love that. I love that you put points against that, so that there's a measure beyond just the visit itself. It's the type of activity, and you're allocating points to the type of activity as well.
Based on the customer, Ingrid. If someone doesn't have a lot of a book or a lot of clients yet themselves, and they're kind of new, and we'll talk about what should new reps do a bit later, I think, but then they don't have to do account reviews. They're going to have way more of the other points, right?
Yes.
Because if we gamify this, I love gamification. I do, because selling is a game. It's a team sport, but it is a game. And every day there's a new game to play. So it's not like you're, terrible month, I had a bad day. No, you could have a better Tuesday, a better Friday, right? There's another way to make it up. Yeah,
it's fantastic. Gosh, there's just so much. I hope everyone's just like madly going, hang on, let's go back and hear what he had to say just in that last point. I mean, you've worked with some of the world's most iconic brands, Ian. Now, I'm not asking you to break confidentiality here, but it's easy for us to sometimes forget that companies that are in that league are also the ones that are seeking to improve. What were your observations of what those iconic companies were doing really well from a sales perspective, and what did they also need to work on to change?
A couple of things come to mind, Ingrid, for sure. Like the multinationals, and you and I both have enjoyed the loyalty of some of them around the world, right? Vodafone, Microsoft, whatever, right? And some of the things they do well is they never stop investing in their people. Not all of them, but some of them. So they know that their people on the front lines are what's generating all of the pipeline and all the revenue and all the business growth and all the stock price growth. It's about that. So they're not shy to invest. So that's a good thing. Some of the, when the economies get tight and tough, like they kind of have been of late, some companies stop investing and they turn into micromanagers. It feels like it's run by accountants and spreadsheets, and it's like, oh, where's your trip report? Who did you see this week? Never mind. Check my pipeline. That'd be my answer. That's my business. Check my pipeline if you're not sure. Like, but I know what I'm doing. Like, you hired me. You trust me, right? So go back to your desk and play with your spreadsheet, right? That would be my answer. You know what? My preference, and I'm blessed. Thank you, global clients, multinationals, but my preference is regional clients. Okay. I like the companies that are a little smaller. They might have 20 salespeople or, something like that. Because the big companies, what happens, I've seen this a lot, they throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? So there's usually a lot of turnover in big companies. Someone misses their quarter. People won't even wait for a year. And some of these multinationals, out goes the sales leadership team, in comes a new team, and everything we were working on goes out with the leader. Right? And so now they're at ground zero, they're starting over, and who knows. The regional companies, it's more family-like, and it lasts way longer. I've got some clients for 26 years. I'm still active with them, right? And they're regional. They're Canadian only, and they're happy where they're at, and they're all about winning market share, and they've hired some new guys, come and fix them too. Okay, yeah. I like the regional players. There's no doubt about it. I know it starts with leadership, though. We talked already a little bit about this. Companies, whether it's a multinational or a regional, if their leadership team is committed to growth and investing in their people, they're already, steps ahead of their competition. Instead of the spreadsheet, the accountant figuring out how many dollars we're spending on the comp plan, looking for ways to trim it, instead of juice it to get more out of our sales team, right? So I think one of the best practices I've seen in either multinational or regional is even the farmers have to hunt. Now I'll explain that if maybe not everyone understands, my Canadian lingo. But farmers is the metaphor I would use for someone who's an account manager. Have a territory. Have, 12 to 20 golden accounts that just lay eggs all year long. Lovely. And they really, not a hard job. If they can walk and chew gum at the same time, they'll probably be okay. Buy someone lunch every once in a while, they might be okay. Sometimes not. Yeah. But even them, in the growth companies, big or small, everyone hunts. You have to have a culture of growth in your sales team. It can't be, those guys are semi-retired on the farm, and we've got these business developers who are out there pounding it every day on the phone. They know what the phone's for. They're in front of customers. COVID's not a crutch for them. They're out there, out and about, getting the job done. So for me, it's like, no. We're not going to have two classes of salespeople. Everyone hunts. And leadership's committed to that, or I don't want to play. If you're going to do that to me, the two-tier, no, it doesn't work. I don't want an account like that, right? So, and even if you're hunting on the farm, if one client last year produced 2 million, how do we get them to 3 million this year? That's still growth, right? That's still growth. I don't mean they have to ignore their customers, because they can't, and just get on the phone and start pounding the pavement. But there's lots of ways to generate growth. But we have to have that mindset, that growth mindset, and it starts with leadership. Right, that's really where it starts with. Some of the other things that come to mind is having a sales plan, and it comes back to accountability. Yes. So when you know what your plan is, how many of this do I have to do? How many? Okay, so that is my progress report. That's my dashboard of how am I doing. If I get, off track one month or one, like, okay, let's get back on track. Accountability drives that. I've got
Yes.
a number of things that I do in my follow up performance program, Ingrid, that you and I have chatted about. One of them is called Pipeline Wednesday. And I love facilitating this. This is growth. This is like DNA of sales growth for anyone who's brave enough to take on the challenge. Every 2 weeks on a Wednesday from 9 a.m. till noon, I facilitate Pipeline Wednesday with my client's sales team, hunters
Okay.
and farmers. So
Okay.
if they book an account review, they get 1 point. That's good
Right.
because 50% of the time, with the math I've been keeping for 25 years, you'll get repeat business from doing an account review. You might even get a referral, right? So it's still a
Right.
good thing. If you book a
Yes.
brand new meeting with a brand new prospect, you get 3 points, baby. That's what we're talking. I mean, it doesn't matter if someone's just farming, do a bunch of account reviews, they're on the board. And I text the scoreboard to everyone on the team real time so they can. Do you think salespeople are a little bit competitive? Just. So when they get the score, they're like, I'm in third place now. I better make some more calls. So it creates this gamification. And what does
Yes.
that do? It builds. I built a $70 million pipeline last year with a company in New York in 8 months
Yes.
from standing
Yes.
still just on Pipeline Wednesday. It actually
Wow.
works. And they
Wow.
close 30 to 40% of what they put in the pipe. That's the
Wow. That's
quality side,
exceptional.
right? So quantity
Yep.
and quality. So the other thing
Yep.
that I think the good salespeople, the best ones that I've ever met, regardless of big or small, they don't get handcuffed to a CRM. You know what I'm
Right.
talking about? Like, to me, that 25-page account review that we bought it, we rented it from IBM back in the Apple days. Typical CRMs today, classic CRMs are the same. They've got
Yep.
salespeople handcuffed to a keyboard. No wonder they can't go see people. They've got to update all of the CRM stuff that's
That's
asking.
right.
So the good salespeople go, no, hire someone to interview me. They can do the typing for me. My job is selling, not typing. Right?
Yeah.
So the good salespeople will break those rules. And sometimes sales leadership have to come to grips with that. You want me to update the CRM? Well, I'm not going to do it. Maybe I'll do it at month end when I'm a little bit after I've closed a bunch of business and made plan this month, right?
Right. Right. It's funny because I think that there have been, especially early on in a career as well, or when someone's just started, sales leaders that I've known have been guilty for looking, how you said, looking at the spreadsheet, looking into the CRM and being fooled by somebody who actually knows how to make it look like they're busy as opposed to actually being out there. And when you can't be, doing the four-legged sales calls, as you say, and somebody's in another state and you're trying to manage what it is that they're doing and you're not having Pipeline Wednesday, you can fall victim to that kind of busy looking CRM activity when in fact the good ones might not be that great at their CRM, like you've said,
No.
because they're out there doing it.
Yes, yes. I saw a funny thing. There's always these memes on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn about did you update your, let's just call it CRM. I won't use the S word. And there's a picture of Robert Downey Jr. with his eyes rolling like this, and it says, "This is what I hear when I input my activity into the CRM with the vocals with the words of Purple Rain." So just to appease someone, he's cut and pasted a song and put it in. So it's not helping him, right? It's dragging him
No.
down. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, we've kind of gone into the territory of what makes, salespeople great. That they're out there, they're doing their Pipeline Wednesdays together, they're thinking about, hunting regardless of whether they're on the farm or on the reserve. They're really looking at the quality of the work that they're doing. What else makes a salesperson great?
Well, the ones, and I've had I've been blessed to have met a lot of them, over 17,000, as you mentioned, around the world, different industries, different cultures, always in English, thankfully for me, because my Spanish is terrible. My French is just not even to be seen. And I think some of the best ones, Ingrid, it's a great question, really, is that they're coachable. So
Right.
some
I
salespeople
agree.
are like, no, I got my blinders on. I know this game. I'm playing it. I can't learn any more tricks. This is my way or the highway. And so, no, I think even the best sales leaders take the blinders off. It's like there's other ways to do this,
Yeah.
right? But we still have to have some sales leadership muscle on the job. It can't be just hire them and see what they do. No, that's not leadership, right? I'll sign their expense reports and like, no, 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 it's way bigger deal than that. Way, way
Yeah.
bigger. So they're coachable, and they're committed to take their game to even higher levels. So it's
Right.
kind of like the old term: if you stop learning, you've stopped, you know, your ability to grow, right? So
Yes.
the world's changing. Customers' business pain changes. Competitors
Yes.
change. So there's
Yes.
always going to be something new to learn, even if you're not out there slaying dragons daily and just working with the farm. There's always going to be new things going on, right? So
Right.
uh, the other term I like to use this term in my training. I think we talked about it too. So people say, "So Ian, what's the most important things in sales? Like, what have you learned?" I said, "Okay, well, I've got a 2-day course, or I could just give you like a quote." And they're like, "Okay, what's a quote? That's free, right?" "Yeah, quote's free." And then so the first thing is call high. So that means your first touch in the account is at decision making levels, preferably the
Yeah.
C-suite, right?
Yes.
The second piece of it is find the pain. What's their business pain? What's broken?
Yes.
What's their object? And business pain's got a coin, an A and a B side. The A side is what's hurting them, what's stopping them. The B
Yeah.
side is what do they really want to do? Like, what's their
Yeah.
real strategy? What's their 5, 10 year plan, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
third step in this process is bring the gain. So sometimes the gain is something you have, a product or a service. Sometimes that gain is the outer ring, the other value you can manufacture, introduction, information. There's so many. Some of my clients want to meet each other. I'm like, I'll broker a lunch. Let's get together, the three of us. And they're both
Right.
helping each other. Now they both love me, right? So I created loyalty at lunch, right? It's like being a business cupid, right? In a way, right?
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
fourth part of it is do it again and again. So it's almost like a rap, right? That's call high, find the pain, bring the gain, do it again and again. And if we did that, if that's the job of selling. That's consultative professional selling. Do I need two
Yes.
days to explain how? Yeah. But that's really the what.
Yeah. That's brilliant. That's another one that I've noted down. Yeah.
And
That
we'll
we're
do
going
more
to be
podcasts. We'll go back and forth. We'll do this. We'll be brother and sister podcasters, right? Southern
doing.
Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere, doesn't matter. We got this great thing called
Wow.
technology.
Oh my God. I'd absolutely love that, Ian. Oh my God. So, all right. My, even though I'd love to speak with you all day, I will ask this final question. So we talked about, new salespeople here. What advice would you give somebody who's starting out in their sales career?
Well, when you think about the profession of selling,
Yeah.
right? And so I'll just to drive this point home, everyone who's
Yep.
listening, close your eyes just for a moment. You don't have to, Ingrid, but at the count of three, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to give you a word. And an image will pop into your mind, and you'll think of it. So, and then I want you to think about what that image was, right? So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Doctor. What comes to mind?
White
A
coat.
white lab coat, stethoscope, right? Like,
On his head. Yeah.
yeah, they're looking in your ear, doing all it.
Yeah.
And so, do we trust that person?
Hmm.
We should. With what? Our life, our family's lives, right? Pretty important
Yeah.
person. Hard to get them on Friday because they're out playing golf. I know, folks, I know, but we trust the doctor. Let's do it one more time. Okay, close your eyes on the count of three. 3, 2, 1. Salesperson.
Mm.
What comes to mind? And there's a lot of our listeners, I'm sure, our watchers are salespeople.
Yes.
Salespeople the term has a bad reputation. And it
Yeah.
has nothing to
Yeah.
do with you or I, Ingrid, or any of our
Yeah.
listeners. It's the oldest
Yeah.
profession in the world, right? So there's been
Yeah.
a lot of bad behavior that happened. And right away, if you want an example of this, if you're out at a social event with your significant other and someone's introducing themselves, and so what do you do? Just say this: I'm in sales, and just watch what they do. That's where the moonwalk was invented. Michael Jackson. They're checking for their wallet. Did you steal my money? Like, what's going on? They're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the career, the profession. You and I share this. I know we do. It's a noble, honorable thing if we do it right. But there's been a lot of bad behavior that happened in the profession that makes us guilty before we're proven innocent. Right. So that becomes an important thing. What should a new salesperson, a little backstory, a new salesperson do when they're getting started?
Yeah.
First and foremost, get a mentor. You don't want to do this by yourself. It can take way too long to get really good at it. Right? So I've been blessed with 3 great mentors in my sales career. I'm sure, Ingrid, you have as well. And that's what got me into the business. It was like, oh, these mentors are so good. I want to do that for someone else. I got to pay it forward. They were brilliant for me. I owe the world something, right? The sales world. And I know you feel the very same way. So number one, get a mentor. And you start with a plan. And that plan's about, you got to develop, there's 2 parts of our game. I call it the bass and the treble of selling. There's the skill set. We need skills. We need to understand how to do this effectively. And that's ongoing learning as well. But you got to start somewhere. You need skills, right? And then there's something that's even more important, I believe, is mindset. And that mindset, your coach is so valuable at keeping you on the positive. Even if you've had a bad week, a bad month, a bad quarter, your coach is going to prop you back up and get you back on the roll to win again, right? And that's really what it's about. So, holding them accountable, there's no doubt about that. Activities and goals, because at the end of the day, I already said this, activity drives pipeline generates results. And so someone new in sales might not know that instinctively. They're going to need some help or coaching. So any you new salespeople in Australia, call Ingrid. Call her and engage her help. She could help you. She's proven.
Thanks, Ian. Thank you so much. Well, do you think you'd come back again?
I'd happily. I love helping. And will you come back on mine as well?
Yeah, of course.
I know you'll be writing a new book. You'll have something new in a couple of months. It'll be fun. I love helping salespeople. This is to me my passion, my honor, and I always look at it like it's my responsibility as well. This beautiful career of selling, of sales, a professional consultant of selling has been so generous to me. I owe the world.
Yes.
So I will always come back to help salespeople. Absolutely.
Outstanding. Ian Selbie, it has been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Ingrid. And thank you. And again, congratulations with the Sales Revolution book and podcast. Can't wait to have you back on my podcast as well.
Okay, you've been listening to The Sales Revolution. I'm Ingrid Maynard. And to find out how the Sales Doctor can help your organisation to transform its revenue, growth and profit, please email me at ingrid@thesalesdoctor.com.au. Visit us on our website at www.thesalesdoctor.com.au. I look forward to your company next episode. Bye for now.